In first part of the lecture on first postulate of quantum mechanics, we have discussed that the state of a system is specified by the state vector ket psi. And this vector ket psi is actually the vector of the Hilbert space. The state vector may be represented as a wave function, and that wave function was represented by psi of rt. And if you talk in one dimension, then you have represented it by psi of xt. In fact, this representation is in position space. So this was the subject matter of the first postulate in first part of this lecture. Actually, the wave function psi is not a measurable quantity. In case of electromagnetic wave, the wave function is electric field vector, and that electric field vector can be experienced and it can be measured. Similarly, in case of sound wave, the wave function is actually the excess pressure developed in the medium, and that excess pressure is also a real physical quantity which can be measured. But in quantum mechanics, the wave function which is a psi of xt or psi of rt, which is used to describe the matter wave, is actually not a measurable physical quantity. In fact, psi in itself does not represent a physical quantity, unlike the definition of a state in classical system. In case of classical system, we represent the state of the physical system by the physical quantities r and p, where r is actually position vector and p represents the momentum. And these r and p are actually the real physical quantity. But all the physical attributes of a quantum system can be extracted from the wave function psi. Actually, in physics, the attributes of a system have been defined in terms of different physical quantities like position, velocity, linear momentum, angular momentum, potential energy, kinetic energy, and all these physical quantities characterize different attributes or properties of a quantum system. In fact, the sole objectives of system studying mechanics is to get these attributes at any particular time, and then to determine how these physical quantities change with time, as the system of particles are subjected to external or internal interaction. So this is the sole aim to deal with a system of particles. In fact, in classical mechanics, we define the state of a system by respective position and momentum, as I have told you earlier. And these parameters R and P are defined for all particles for forming the system. In fact, the position and momentum are the basic physical quantities, because all other physical quantities like angular momentum, potential energy, kinetic energy can be measured once we know the position and momentum. But here in quantum mechanics, the scenario is different. As I have told you that psi, that is the wave function, is not a real physical quantity, but you will see later in this series of lecture, when we will actually study the second, third and fourth postulate of quantum mechanics, then you will see that the second, third and fourth postulate of quantum mechanics tell us how to get the different physical quantities from this very wave function psi. So now in this second part of the lecture of first postulate, which describes actually the state of a system. Now we are going to discuss some more informations regarding the state of a system. As I have told you that in first part of the lecture that the wave function psi of RT describes the state of a quantum system. But you have also studied that psi is not a physical quantity. So in fact this psi of RT is although not a real physical quantity, but the modulus of psi RT square does have a physical meaning. Mod of psi RT square have a physical meaning. You have already studied in the previous chapter that the Born's probabilistic interpretation of wave function psi. And you know, according to Born's probabilistic interpretation, the square of the norm of this psi of RT represents a position probability density. And so we say that the position probability density P of RT is equal to a square of the mod of psi RT. So in fact psi RT is although not a physical quantity, but the square of its norm measures the probability density. And when you say it measures probability density, what does it mean? It means this is mod of psi RT square is actually the measure of the probability of finding of system in unit volume if we consider the three-dimensional space. And if you consider one-dimensional space, then it will actually measure the probability of finding of the system in unit length. So the probability of finding a particle at any time t in a given volume element, let us say d tau, if we consider that this is an elementary volume element and this volume element is, let us say, d tau. And if we want to find the probability of finding of system this in elementary volume, then what will be that? Simply we will multiply the probability density with this elementary volume. So probability of finding of system in volume element d tau, and you know this d tau in Cartesian coordinate will be dx into dy into dz. So what will be the probability of finding of the system in this elementary volume d tau? You know this will be simply probability density, that is mod psi of RT square times d tau. And so if we want to find the probability of finding of the system somewhere in all space, because the particle will be definitely somewhere in all space when we consider the all space, then definitely particle will be present. So this probability then will become a certainty, and hence when we will integrate this probability for the all space, then actually we will find that the result is equal to 1. So total probability of finding of the system somewhere in all all space is equal to 1, because in this condition the probability will become certainty. It means mathematically you can say that integral for all space mod of psi of RT square d tau, this will be equal to integral from minus infinity to plus infinity dx, integral from minus infinity to plus infinity dy, integral from minus infinity to plus infinity mod of psi RT square dz, and this is equal to 1. This is equal to 1. In fact, you know the wave function psi of RT satisfying this very equation 2, that is when the probability of finding of particle in all space is equal to 1. When this condition is actually satisfied, then we say that our wave function psi of RT is normalized. So actually this equation 2 gives the normalization condition. So this is the condition for normalized wave function. Normalization. This concept of normalization is also very important for numerical problem. In fact, in different examination, you are asked that to check the given function is normalized or not. And we have to also find if the function is not normalized, then how we can normalize it. Later we will see this in the problem section. Actually, here you should note that the function psi of RT, which is actually a wave function, represents a proper state of our system. And at the same time, you can see that there is no difference between the wave function psi of RT and the another function e to the power I alpha psi of RT, where alpha is actually a real number. So you can see a wave function psi of RT and e to the power I alpha psi of RT, where alpha is a real number, represent same state. How we can say that the wave function e to the power I alpha psi of RT, where alpha is a real number and psi of RT both represent the same state? How we can say it? You can check it. Let us find the probability density when we consider that the wave function is e to the power I alpha psi of RT instead of psi of RT. So you can see as mod of e to the power I alpha psi of RT square. What will be this? You know, when we take actually the square of the norm, what does it mean? It means we have to multiply the wave function by its complex conjugate. So what will be the complex conjugate of this function? You know, this will be e to the power minus I alpha times psi or star of RT, and the another factor will be the wave function itself. So it will be e to the power I alpha psi of RT. So you can see this e to the power minus I alpha and e to the power plus I alpha, this will be e to the power 0, which will be 1. So this is simply psi star of RT times psi of RT. And what is this? This is simply mod of psi of RT square. So you can say that this wave function, that is e to the power I alpha psi of RT and the wave function psi of RT both represent the same state of the system. Now actually in this second part of the lecture on first postulate, the important thing which we will discuss is the principle or is the superposition principle. So now let us see what is this superposition principle, and I will say that this part of the first postulate of lecture is very important for solving the numerical problem. So what is this superposition principle? Superposition principle. This is a most important concept of quantum mechanics, and this most important concept of quantum mechanics is provided by the first postulate of quantum mechanics. Actually, the physical state of a system needs not to be represented by a single wave function, but you can see or you will see in many times it is represented as a superposition of wave functions. In fact, as a classical analog, you may see that in case of the vibration of a string, we may represent the vibration of a string or that state of a string by a single wave function or by a superposition of so many wave functions. Similarly, in quantum mechanics, a state of a system can be described by a single wave function, but it is not an essential condition that the state will be described by a single wave function. But we can represent or we can discuss that state of the system in several times by the representing the wave function as a superposition of so many wave functions. So let us now suppose there are n wave functions separately satisfying the Schrodinger equation. So let psi1 of RT, psi2 of RT, and so on, psi n of RT. These are wave functions satisfying Schrodinger equation. When you say these are the wave functions satisfying Schrodinger wave equation, what does it mean? It means all of these wave functions are actually the solution of Schrodinger equation. So these psi1, psi2, psi n are actually the eigenfunctions, which is actually solution of Schrodinger equation. Now you know that the Schrodinger equation is a linear equation, and so in general, according to the superposition principle, the linear combination of these eigenfunctions gives a new wave function, and that new wave function will represent a possible state of the same system. So we can write the wave function which will also represent the state of the system as a linear combination of these wave functions. So this is actually due to the linear property of the Schrodinger equation. So we can write that according to superposition principle, you can write the wave function psi of RT as a linear combination of these wave functions. When you say linear combination, what does it mean? We simply multiply each of the eigenfunction by complex numbers or constants and combine them, that is add them. So we can write psi of RT is equal to, let us say, C1 times psi 1 of RT plus C2 times psi 2 of RT plus so on, plus Cn times psi n of RT. Actually, here in this expression, C1, C2, C3 and Cn, these are actually the complex numbers, and if you want to write this expression which just I have mentioned here in Kate notation, then the state of the system can be represented in this manner. So you can say in Kate notation, the state of the system can be represented as, how we will write in Kate notation that expression? We will write it Kate psi is equal to summation over I Ci Kate S psi I. As I have told you, these Ci are actually complex numbers. So what are these Ci? These are complex numbers. Now we have already defined the probability density, and so if we want to represent the probability density for this state or for this superposition, we will simply take the square of the norm of this Kate vector. So the probability density for this state, or you can say this superposition P equal to what? What will be this? This you can see, you have just learned about the probability density. This will be just the mod of summation over I Ci k psi I square. So this will represent actually the probability density for this superposition. And you know that all the allowed eigenstates given by Schrodinger equation are orthonormal. And when you say that the eigenstates are orthonormal, what does it mean? It means they are normalized and at the same time they are mutually orthogonal. So in this condition, we can use the condition for orthonormality to find this probability. In numerical problem, this is very important, and you will see if you know this concept, you can directly solve very important problems which will be asked in different examinations. So let us see here that you know the all allowed eigenfunctions which satisfy the Schrodinger equation, as I have told you, are actually orthonormal. So here psi I, or you can say k psi I, which are eigenstates satisfying Schrodinger equation. Schrodinger equation. And if these are eigenstates satisfying Schrodinger equation, then this implies they are orthonormal. And as I have told you, when we say that our eigenfunction is orthonormal, what does it mean? It means they are normalized and at the same time they are also mutually orthogonal. So what is the condition for the orthonormalized eigenfunctions? You have already studied in mathematical foundation in the previous chapter. And so we can write the scalar product of psi I with psi j. A scalar product of psi I with psi j. This is equal to delta ij. This is the condition for orthonormality. And you know what is here this delta ij? You know that this is Kronecker delta. Delta ij is known as Kronecker delta. And you know this delta ij is equal to 1. And it is equal to 1 when it is equal to 1. Actually, it is equal to 1 if I is equal to j. And actually, this is the condition for normalization. And this Kronecker delta, or you can say this product of psi I with psi j, will be equal to 0, and it is 0 when? It is 0 if I is not equal to j. Actually, in this condition, we say that these wave functions psi I and psi j are actually orthogonal. So this is the condition for orthogonality. So definitely, since psi I and psi j, these are actually the eigenfunctions which satisfy the Schrodinger equation, and we know if these wave functions or eigenfunction or eigenstates satisfy the Schrodinger equation, then definitely they will be orthonormal. And if they are orthonormal, then the product of the same two eigenfunctions will be 1, and the scalar product of any two different eigenfunctions will be equal to 0. So taking this fact into account, you can see what will be the value of the probability density defined in equation 4. You can see that when we will actually take the square of the norm, we will have simply to multiply the scalar, we have to take simply the scalar product of this wave function ci ket psi I summation over I with itself. And so in this condition we can say we will see that when the two wave functions will be same, the product will be 1, and when they will be different, the product will be 0. So taking this fact into account, you can find the probability density. So the probability, you may only say probability, it is not needed to always say probability density. So the probability P is now equal to mod of summation over I ci ket psi I square. And as I have told you, when we will take this fact of orthonormality into account, what will be the result? You can see all the products which will be actually the scalar product of a eigenfunction with itself, that will be 1. And if we will take the scalar product with another eigenfunction, then that will be 0. So only the term which will be actually remain here, that will be actually the summation over I mod of ci square, and so you can say that this will be actually equal to mod of c1 square plus mod of c2 square plus so on plus mod of cn square. And hence we can say that this will be P1 plus P2 plus so on plus Pn. And actually this represents the total probability of finding of the system in that superposed state. And you know this P1, P2 is what? These are actually the probability density of finding of the system in a particular state. So you can say that this P1 is what? Actually this P1 is the probability of finding of the system in state psi 1. P2 will be the probability of finding of the system in state psi 2. And so in general we can say that this Pi, you can say this as summation over Pi. We can say this is equation 5. So as I have told you, P1 represents actually the probability of finding of particle in the state psi 1. P2 represents its probability of finding in state psi 2. And so in general we can say that this Pi, which is defined as mod of ci square, this actually represents the probability of finding of the system in state ket psi I. This represents probability of finding of the system in state ket psi I. This is Pi. Similarly, as I have told you, in individual manners, P1 represents probability of finding of the system in ket psi 1 state, P2 will represent its probability of finding in ket psi 2 state, and so on. So this is all about the second part of the first postulate, which actually deals with the state of a quantum system. Now, the concept which we have learnt in this lecture, I would like to actually explain that concept by taking a proper example. And as I have told you, such examples are very important for different competitive examinations like NET JRF, like IIT JAM. Such type of problem is in fact invariably asked to you. So let us take an important example or a simple example to clarify the idea which we have actually learnt in this lecture. So I am going here an example. Let us consider a system whose state is given in terms of an orthonormal take care of this word, orthonormal set of three vectors. When you say vectors, it means state vectors. Three vectors ket phi 1, ket phi 2, ket phi 3 as this state is defined in terms of the set of these three ket vectors or state vectors, phi 1, phi 2 and phi 3, and this is given as a superposition of these three state vectors. And let us say this is ket psi equal to root 3 over 3 ket phi 1 plus 2 over 3 ket phi 2 plus root 2 over 3 ket phi 3. So we have considered a system, and its state, which is represented by ket psi, is in fact expressed as a linear combination of three eigenvectors, and these eigenvectors are ket phi 1, ket phi 2 and ket phi 3, and this state vector ket psi has been defined in this manner as I have mentioned here. Now let us take two important problems regarding this. In first part of the problem, let us verify that this ket psi is normalized. So verify that ket psi is normalized. We have to check this ket psi, that is this eigenfunction, is normalized or not. And in second part, let us calculate the probability of finding of this system. So calculate the probability of finding the system. Probability of finding of the system in any one of the states. When you say any one of the states, that states are ket phi 1, Kate phi 2 and Kate phi 3. We have to find the probability of finding of system in these states of the system. And once we will calculate the probability of finding of the system in any one of these states, then we can verify that the total probability is equal to 1. So verify that the total probability is equal to 1. So this is our problem. Now you can see its solution. The idea which we have developed just now, we will apply those ideas in solving this problem. As you can see, the first part of our problem says that we have to actually verify that the given wave function Kate psi is normalized or not. In fact, we have to prove that it is normalized, and you know that for testing that Kate psi is normalized, we will simply find the scalar product of this Kate psi with itself. And if that scalar product will be equal to 1, you can say that this state vector Kate psi is normalized. So to prove it, we have to show, this is actually the first part of our problem, we have to show that a scalar product of psi with psi is equal to 1. If we will prove this result, then we can say that this state vector Kate psi is normalized. So we have to prove this result. Now, as it is given in the problem that Kate phi 1, Kate phi 2, Kate phi 3, all these state vectors are actually orthonormal state vectors. And so we know that if they are orthonormal, definitely the orthonormality condition will be satisfied. So as Kate phi I am writing here Kate phi I instead of phi 1, phi 2, phi 3, and you can say here I is actually equal to 1, 2 and 3. So as Kate phi I are orthonormal, it is given in the problem, are orthonormal. So definitely the condition for orthonormality of a state vector will be satisfied, and you know what is that condition. So you can write the scalar product of phi I with phi j will be equal to Kronecker delta ij. And here as you can see, this I and j both are actually equal to 1, 2 and 3. And you know this Kronecker delta will be actually equal to 1 when I is equal to j, and this is equal to 0 when I is not equal to j. It means when the scalar product of a state vector will be taken with same state vector, then that will be 1. And if we will take a scalar product of a state vector with another, like we will take the scalar product of phi 1 with phi 2, phi 1 with phi 3, or phi 3 with phi 2, all those will be 0. But when you will take the scalar product of phi 1 with phi 1, phi 2 with phi 2, phi 3 with phi 3, that will be equal to 1. So let us take this fact into account, and find the scalar product of this Kate psi with itself. So taking this fact into account, you can easily find it. So taking this fact into account, let us find a scalar product of Kate psi with psi. You know this scalar product is represented in this manner, and you can see, as I have told you, the product of phi 1 with phi 1, product of phi 2 with phi 2, product of phi 3 with phi 3, all these will be 1. But when we will take product of phi 1 with phi 2, phi 1 with phi 3, or phi 2 with phi 3, phi 3 with phi 1 or phi 2, all those will be 0. So if you will take the expression for Kate phi and find this scalar product, what will be this? You can see this will be root 3 over 3 into root 3 over 3 Kate phi 1 and phi 1. This is actually the scalar product of phi 1 with phi 1 plus this will be 2 over 3 times 2 over 3 and the scalar product of phi 2 with phi 2 and plus root 2 over 3 times root 2 over 3 and the scalar product of phi 3 with phi 3. And you know all these products, this will be 1, this will be actually 1, and this will be also 1, because you know the given these state vectors phi 1, phi 2 and phi 3 are in fact normalized. In fact, the condition is given of orthonormality, and when the function is orthonormal, then that will be definitely normalized, and so these are equal to 1. So what is our result? You can see this will be simply 1 over 3 plus 4 over 9 plus 2 over 9, and when you will add this, you can take the LCM. This will be 9, this will be 3 plus 4 plus 2, and so this is 9 over 9, and that is equal to 1. So what is our result? You have seen that the scalar product of psi with psi is equal to 1, and you know if this condition is satisfied, we can easily say that the given eigenfunction is normalized. So this result actually implies that Kate psi is normalized. So you have seen that using the idea developed in this lecture, we can easily solve this problem. Now we will see the second part of our problem. You can see the second part of our problem states that we have to find the probability of finding of the system in any one of the states, that is Kate phi 1, Kate phi 2 and Kate phi 3. And after that we will have to verify that the total probability is equal to 1. So let us first of all find the probability of finding of this system in the state, let us say Kate phi 1. So you can say since Kate psi is normalized, Kate psi is normalized, so the probability of finding of the system in the state Kate phi 1 is given as how we will define this probability. You can see this probability, if it is P1, then this P1 will be given as mod of a scalar product of phi 1 with psi square. And as you know that this product will be equal to what? If we will substitute you can write this expression first of all. This will be in fact ket phi 1 and that is bra phi 1, not ket phi 1, and ket psi. And what is ket psi? You know this ket psi is actually equal to what? This is actually equal to root 3 over 3 ket phi 1 plus 2 over 3 ket phi 2 plus root 2 over 3 ket phi 3. And so now let us see, when we will take the scalar product of this phi 1 with the first term, that is root 3 over 3 ket phi 1, what will be our result? This will be actually equal to root 3 over 3 a scalar product of phi 1 with phi 1 plus, now we will take the scalar product of this phi 1 with the second term, that is 2 over 3 ket phi 2. So this will be 2 over 3 a scalar product of phi 1 with phi 2. And plus, now we will take the scalar product of this phi 1 with the third term, and that will be root 2 over 3 a scalar product of phi 1 with phi 3. And as we know, this vector phi 1, phi 2 and phi 3 are orthonormal. So you can see that this product will be what? This will be equal to 1, and this product is actually equal to 0, and this will be also 0. And so our result will be what? This will be a root over 3 by 3 mod square. And so you can see this will be simply 1 over 3. So the probability of finding of this system in the state of ket phi 1 is actually equal to 1 over 3. So P1 is 1 over 3. Now in similar manner, we can find the probability of finding of the system in another state, that is ket phi 2 and ket phi 3. So you can see similarly from the relations, you know ket phi 2 and scalar product of phi 2 and phi 2, that will be equal to 1, and a scalar product of phi 1 with phi 2 and a scalar product of phi 2, say here phi 2 with phi 1. Phi 2 with phi 1 and again phi 2 with phi 3. Phi 2 with phi 3. all these will be equal to 0. So if we will take this into account, we can easily obtain the probability of finding of this system in another state Ket phi 2. And so you can see here this. So probability of finding of system in state Ket phi 2. If we write this probability as P2, what will be this? You can see this will be mod of a scalar product of phi 2 with psi square. And this will be simply equal to, as you have seen earlier, that this will be 2 over 3 a scalar product of phi 2 with phi 2 square, because all other terms will vanish. And so, and you know this product is actually equal to 1, so this will be simply 4 over 9. Therefore, the probability of finding of this system in the eigenstate defined by Ket phi 2 is equal to 4 over 9. This is 4 over 9. And in similar manner, you can see what will be the probability of finding of this system in the eigenstate defined by the state vector Ket phi 3. So similarly, you can write the probability of finding of the system in the state Ket phi 3. This will be P3 equal to actually mod a scalar product of phi 3 with psi square. And you have seen this will be simply equal to mod of root 2 over 3 a scalar product of phi 3 with phi 3 square, because all other terms will be 0. And so this, you can see this will be actually equal to 4 over, not 4, but this will be 2 over 9. So this will be 2 over 9. And therefore, you can write this P3 is equal to 2 over 9. So you have seen, in fact, when you want to solve this problem quickly, I am just suggesting you that don't take these steps, all of the steps. You can simply take the square of the mod of the coefficient of the different state vectors. It means you have to take simply the C1 square, C2 square, C3 square, and so on. And those will be actually the probability of finding of the system in the state phi 1, phi 2, phi 3, and so on. So you can easily, taking this fact into account, solve quickly the objective problems which are asked in your examination. Now, in this part of the problem, we have also to show that the total probability is equal to 1. So you can easily see it here. So the total probability, if we denote it by P, you can see this will be simply P1 plus P2 plus P3. And let us substitute the value of P1, P2, P3. You can see P1 is 1 over 3, P2 is 4 over 9, and P3 is 2 over 9. So this P will be equal to 1. And you can see in our problem we have to show that the total probability is equal to 1. So this fact is verified. So this was all about the first postulate of quantum mechanics, which actually deals with the state of a quantum system. So in this two lectures we have completed the idea of the first postulate of quantum